carriage is for vaccinated people only. We will be asking you, if you are vaccinated, please show your papers if you have them on you. Otherwise, please comply. This carriage is for vaccinated people only.
Here at the Florence Fuller Child Development Center in Boca Raton, what may be the template of how your child's campus will look when school reopens. For the past 8 weeks, the day starts with temperature checks. Kids show up already wearing masks before they go in. They change out of their shoes to avoid stepping in something and traipsing it inside. There are restrictions like face-to-face time, but with only half the class, others interact remotely. And of course, there's mandatory hand washing at least 5 times a day. Julie Herron, a teacher in Collier County, is preparing for students who choose to return for in-person instruction. How do you get your students to comply to these kind of regulations?
I think it's going to be something that we're going to have to do in the beginning, daily, going over those rules and expectations and really explaining to them the why we're wearing them, you know, to keep themselves safe, to keep their friends safe, to keep their teachers safe. And I think once they really understand the reason behind it, they'll be more likely to want to do it because they'll want to be able to continue to come to school.
But the schools they go back to aren't the same as before.
Reminder, your mask has to be on at all times.
You must make sure that you also maintain the safe distance.
School is an 18-year forced government training program that sterilizes the potential for brilliance in children. Those who actually survive schooling and survive conformity and continue on to think for themselves truly are a rare breed. All children start out as curious, highly experimental minds, and then one day they're sent to school. Mandatory schooling has never consisted of anything but the memorization of monotonous dead facts and training children to master repetitious behavior. For the greater part of their day, everything the child says must match the interest of their school teachers. Their behavior must coincide with a set policy and a set regulation. They cannot use the bathrooms without permission. If they wish to speak, they must raise their hands. And after every hour or so, a bell rings and everyone must move to it. It couldn't be any more slave-like. And this type of training becomes a ritual for the child. It becomes the plot background for their television shows and books, or the ideology taught to them by a teacher or a parent. An entire monoculture is being developed here, stripping children of their power to cause trouble for the state at an early age, training them to be good servants of the politically correct. Their environment is much like a prison, by the population lacking any ability to check the authority of the warden. The process becomes a matter of rubber stamping. They have no control over their entire lives, which is directly related to youth violence, because the only control they have is between each other. Mandatory schooling produces children who are either terrified of the tyranny of others or have been raised to perpetually exploit the conditions of others. It's just like the prison system. Forced cohabitation. The child's presence in certain buildings and their engagement in state-regulated behavior is under penalty of imprisonment. An entire army of truancy officers have been hired to make sure that no child is on the other side of the bars. At the end of 18 years of coercive state authority, the child is released into the world. It's like the end of an 18-year prison sentence. Now that you're trained to do as you're told, now you can be free. And the produce of these schools, or this state-controlled manufacturing operation, is a society willing to submit, to obey, and to listen. Forced behavior, which technically amounts to a type of slavery, will only inculcate a mindset of fear and terror. You need to be somewhere at a set time, either at the orders of an authority or a bell. Everyone in one mass shifts to another position or another place to engage in a new activity. They're trained to not only follow instruction, but they're also trained to follow a certain behavior. Rules, regulations, and laws are set for the children. They say you cannot do this to others. You can do this to others. This is acceptable. This is not acceptable. Standards of culture, morality, and behavior are imprinted into these new young minds that are in the blossoming stages of development. Their minds are being intercepted by the state and molded to conform to state standards. The first lesson they teach you is the orders of authority. The second lesson is to work with each other to achieve the desired ends of those in control. If a group of children are taught to engage in the same behavior regardless of what they want to do, then they will never fight back as adults. And this is your group of tenants who will live in roaches and never call the health inspector. This is your group of citizens who is easily terrified by police officers into voluntarily giving up their rights. This is your group of workers who surrender their lives to the corporation who tells them how to dress, how to speak, what time to wake up, which means they essentially tell you what time to go to sleep if they tell you what time to wake up. This is nothing new. These are the fruits of mandatory schooling. If we look into the roots of 19th century industrialism, the Civil War demonstrated to industrialists and financiers how a standardized population trained to follow orders without significant thought could be made to function as a money tree. It's no surprise that global power and corporate wealth is based on a third-rate educational system that works against developing individuals of true character and true intellect. The mindless bureaucrat or the thoughtless worker who will follow a system without question is the pattern that our system depends on. And this is what school produces. The system is not designed to educate the public, which is why federal and state bureaucracies call the shots, not the parents, not the local school boards. Every law is harshly enforced with maximum punishments. The tone of a principal is much like the tone of a warden, with no check on his authority. They will always have a way of using coercive ability to enforce a standard on the population. Strict punishment awaits any kid who disobeys this ruling force, and there is no doubt that an active student body reflects positively on school administrators. It's like factory floor men. They're fulfilling their quotas to the inspecting superintendent of the local school district. This is the reality of government training. The state doesn't care if children are homeless or on the streets or suffering from malnutrition and hunger, but the second the child fails to appear in school at the scheduled time, like a court date, the police are alerted. Until we abolish mandatory schooling, your child will be brought up as a slave so that he can accept becoming a slave later in life in adulthood.
Charter City is stunned by the sudden rollout of Rook Unlimited's most fantastic device ever. The Smart Mark. Throw your other devices away, because the Smart Mark is more than just a phone. It's part of you.
Mobile vaccination clinics bring the COVID-19 vaccine to you and your community. This video walks you through what you can expect when you visit a mobile vaccination clinic.
Hello. Alrighty, I will get you checked in today. What's your last name?
When you arrive at the mobile clinic, you'll check in with a greeter for your vaccination appointment. Please let them know if you need accessibility or language accommodations. Mobile clinics often have openings for walk-ins, so feel free to bring a friend.
And don't let the lines discourage you. The Rook Unlimited Smart Mark is worth the wait.
You are good to go and you can head over to the line.
Wait your turn either directly outside the bus or in the waiting area on the bus. When it's your turn to be vaccinated, sit down at a vaccination station with a clinician. There are screens available if you'd like more privacy.
Can you tell me your name?
The clinician will go over your information with you, and you can ask any questions you may have about the vaccine. The clinician will need access to your upper arm to administer the vaccine. Once you're vaccinated, you'll exit the bus.
I never realized how wonderful technology could make me feel. The Smart Mark has brought order to my life.
And the best part? It's absolutely free. A gift of thanks to our city from Rook Unlimited.
Growing up in this city, on the streets of Old Town, I saw the worst mankind had to offer. Chaos, disorder. I vowed to make it all change. To make it all better. All these years working in secret. Rising up the ranks of the tech men. It was all leading to this day. Order has finally been established in Charter City. No child will have to fear for their safety again.
Now to the other breaking news we are following, and it involves the pandemic. New York City announcing drastic action to encourage vaccinations in the city. Starting in September, people will have to show proof of COVID-19 vaccination for most indoor activities in the 5 boroughs. That includes indoor dining, fitness, and any entertainment or performances.
The people owe you the greatest of debts, number one, for liberating them from the chaos of their lives.
You guys love new tech. You didn't want to get smart marked?
No way. That's clearly some shady biz. Who wants to be...
You
call yourself a man of science. World order is our destiny. Submit to a smart mark and join the glorious victory of order over chaos, or you will be eliminated.
From churches to popular music festivals, we are seeing more and more vaccine requirements popping up all across metro Atlanta, with no sign yet that our surge in COVID cases is slowing down.
Brittany Klein-Peter now kicks off our team coverage as DeKalb County and a church tells its parishioners no vaccine, no service for you.
Atlanta alone has more than half a dozen mega churches, some of them averaging more than 10,000 parishioners on any given Sunday. Those high numbers, combined with the spread of the Delta variant, are now prompting some faith centers to take extra safety steps.
We are not apologizing for being the most conservative and the most cautious during this period.
Piney Grove Baptist Church in DeKalb County says it's requiring worshipers to sign a waiver, get their temperature checked, and show proof of vaccination before attending in-person services.
We said we were going to follow the science, not our emotions. Everybody wanted to come to church, but we were going to follow the science.
Grandpa, Mr. Savick, where is everybody?
They all went to get those foolish new devices.
What? No, they can't. Grandpa, those things are dangerous. It's a conspiracy. Mind control.
Ha! I knew it!
You two guys are you vaccinated? Yeah? Fully
COVID police, arrest this man. He doesn't seem to be wearing a mask. He's like a dirty alien. COVID police, arrest this girl. 0.3% chance I might get ill.
They seem to be establishing checkpoints of some kind. This is how they keep order.
This is the nightmare I warned you about. People think smart marks are brand new rook tech that will improve their lives. They don't know they're being tricked.
Just get vaccinated, baby. The Raiders are requiring all fans to be vaccinated to attend games. The big announcement from the team tonight after Governor Steve Sisolak's COVID update. And thanks for joining us for 13 Action News Live at 11 o'clock. I'm Trisha Keene.
And I'm Ty Quinones. Now, the big news from the Raiders coming just hours after Governor Steve Sisolak gave big ticket venues of 4,000 or more people the green light to essentially have a no vax, no entry policy. And 13 Action News reporter John Dommel right now is live with more of what you can expect next time you head to Allegiant Stadium. John.
Hey, Todd and Tricia, the Raiders are the first team in the NFL to require vaccinations, and we asked people around town what they thought about it.
I think it's a step in the right direction. You know, anything that we can do to make sure that fans are safe.
For many diehard football fans, the crowd is as big of a player as anyone on the field.
You know, if I have to show my vaccine card, if I'm not vaccinated, if I have to get a shot there at the stadium, you know, whatever I've got to do to get in there and see that game, you know, I'm willing to do it.
Over the horizon. Over the horizon.